These are the progressive news headlines for Tuesday, September 1st. Nearly 150 progressive advocacy groups are demanding that Joe Biden ban fossil fuel executives and lobbyists from his 2020 campaign. I don't know why he didn't just do that automatically, but he's more centrist than we would like. These groups also politely but firmly, strongly insist that he commit to barring these executives and lobbyists from his administration if elected in November. Clearly, a cabinet stocked with big oil representatives would suggest that Biden's, vows to confront the climate crisis with ambition and urgency are, well, empty at best. But he's still better than Trump. Anyway, 140 organizations sent Biden a letter this morning arguing there are countless qualified experts and advocates who have not attempted to benefit financially from polluting and extracting industries, and maybe he would like to get some of them. Groups like Food and Water Action, Friends of the Earth, Justice Democrats Move On, the Sunrise Movement, 350action.org. You can follow what's happening if you follow any of those groups online. Basically, they are sending Biden binders filled with candidates. Remember Mitt Romney? He said, I have binders filled with women that well, let them out. Let them out, please. That would be terrific. Come on, Joe. Do it. Organizers and community members in at least 15 cities across the nation are set to mobilize today. They're going to be storming the streets in front of the homes and offices of Republican leaders. Hopefully no one gets shot. They're going to be occupying eviction courts, and they're holding teach-ins on tenant protections for a nationwide day of uprisings to protest the Senate's failure to provide relief during, let's say, the biggest eviction crisis the U.S. has ever faced. It's called #TheReliefIsDue. It's a campaign was spearheaded by the Center for Public Democracy. It comes, because of the decimating impacts the COVID-19 pandemic has had on the national economy. 57.3 is the latest figure. 57.3 million workers filed for unemployment over the past 5 months. Millions of families are struggling to meet basic needs. I don't have to tell you, perhaps you are one of them. According to the National Low Income Housing Coalition, as many as 40 million people could be displaced from their homes in the next several months. 40 million people walking around homeless. And you thought Times Square was bad before. To prevent that from happening, you can go to Mitch Better Have My Money. I love it. MitchBetterHaveMyMoney.us and find out how you can take part. Oh boy. This, I don't know. Here's the next story. You've probably heard this already. Trump is traveling to Kenosha, Wisconsin today in spite of the governor of Wisconsin, Tony Evers, urging him strongly to please stay away. Evers correctly warns that Trump's presence will only serve, as he puts it, to hinder our healing, inviting the cause of the problem in the first place. That would do that. Excuse me. Mass protests over the police shooting of 29-year-old Jacob Blake continue in Kenosha. The White House's deputy press secretary, Judd Deere, a person who I've almost never heard of before, I believe, this exact news story, due to the revolving nature of anyone who comes anywhere near the Trump administration. Anyway, that guy said in a statement that the Trump administration had been humbled by the outreach. Yes, he's humbled, I'm sure. Humbled by the outreach of individuals from Kenosha who have welcomed the president's visit. Individuals and are longing for leadership to support local law enforcement and businesses that have been vandalized and the KKK. Oops, he just accidentally said that. No, he didn't. I'm making that up. But, it's in the lines. You can read between the lines. Yesterday, the president defended the actions of the 17-year-old who drove across state lines. No, I'm sorry. His mother drove him across state lines to fatally shoot 2 protesters in Wisconsin last week, claiming he acted in self-defense. Jacob Blake is still in the hospital, by the way, paralyzed from the waist down. Blake's attorney, Benjamin Crump, said the following. Let me get that. I mean, how much more shocking can the news be? Trump is like, I think you should be able to go and shoot people. And then he says Joe Biden's America looks like a scene from a burning car scene from that the picture wasn't even taken in America. That's what he's saying. Joe Biden's America is burning. While Donald Trump's America is white people cross state lines with guns driven by their mother and then shoot people. Other white people. Some are included in this. Insane. Anyway, here's Blake's attorney, Benjamin Crump.
Where is the humanity? Where was the humanity for this citizen? And as she said, it shouldn't matter the color of his skin. Where is the humanity? In the law, we often talk about deliberate indifference. Well, I think we don't have to give you a lot of legal treatises to let you know that what they did to Jacob Sr. and Julia's son was done with deliberate indifference. And she said, think for a second what other things these police officers could have done instead of firing at least 7 bullets into the back of Jacob Blake Jr., leaving him at this moment paralyzed.
Exactly. Oh, man. I said when you know something terrible happened when Benjamin Crump shows up on the scene. But well said. Well said. Moving along. I can't believe the news. It's almost hard to give the news. A top White House coronavirus with no expertise in infectious disease needs to be pointed out. Or epidemiology. Nothing. He's got no expertise. He's reportedly pushing the Trump administration to adopt the so-called herd immunity strategy to the pandemic. The fuck it strategy, if you will. Public health experts warn that this strategy could kill millions of Americans and infect hundreds of millions more. This is why people believe the stuff that's on the internet. Like, I forget, what's that one called that where they think they're going to depopulate, the earth? Because look, it looks like they're actually doing it. That's why. This is how it's very easy to believe what you see on the internet that falls into a conspiracy theories area. Because you see it in front of your eyes. It's quite obvious. And it's shocking. Anyway, public health experts warn that the strategy could kill millions of Americans and infect hundreds of millions more, which, remember, this disease, if it doesn't kill you, it ruins the rest of your life, pretty much. Most people don't get like 100% better. Anyway, Scott Atlas, a neuroradiologist from the right-wing Hoover Institution, caught President Donald Trump's attention with a spate of Fox News appearances in recent months. That's how you audition, apparently, for a Trump administration. You go on Fox, you say crazy fucking things, then Trump sees you and hires you. Anyway, he downplayed the severity on Fox of COVID-19, and they let him do that. And questioned the need for lockdowns and social distancing measures. A Washington Post analysis found that 2.13 million deaths, 2.13 million, a lot, deaths, may be required to reach a 65% threshold of herd immunity, assuming the virus has a 1% fatality rate. 2 more million deaths to reach the 65% threshold of herd immunity. Now, I am no infectious disease expert. Here's the guy, by the way. You want to see the guy? This guy. He looks weaselly. I'm no infectious disease expert, but I have been reading along with what's in the news and what's in the science part of the news. And they're saying that, like, if you get the coronavirus, that doesn't mean that antibodies might protect you in the future, which means a vaccine may not work, or a vaccine would be the kind that you have to get, regularly forever, which would be a huge cash cow to whatever pharmaceutical industry gets, the first one across the first one across the line, or there would be no such thing as herd immunity. Now, again, I am not an epidemiologist, and I am giving the thoughts of a non-epidemiologist, but mine are fucking based in fact and sane. Anyway, getting kind of crazy here. Our guest is coming on soon. Don't miss it. Marla Schultz. Okay. Here's a good story. The mayor of St. Paul, Minnesota, is the latest to join a coalition of U.S. mayors to win support of the idea for providing guaranteed income for struggling Americans. St. Paul's mayor, Melvin Carter, seen here, is part of a group calling for these direct payments and that would come with no strings attached. Just here's some money, spend it in our city. He says the pandemic crisis has only widened the gap for certain people and their ability to survive. Wouldn't it be a great idea? Give the money, spend it locally. Don't give it to fucking Amazon. Spend it locally. Yes? It's a good idea. Your own currency for your own locality. I'm sure the banking industry is not going to like that. Anyway, that's not what this guy's doing, but still, Carter said as a trial project, he'd like to identify 135 low-income families in St. Paul to get $500 a month over 18 months. 18 months! That's a nice trial, but by then everyone else is going to be starved. We need the actual money like ASAP. Plug into the mayor's movement for the guaranteed income at mayors for AGI. A guaranteed income .org. Mayors for AGI.org. Here's a clip of Carter talking about it. Pretty good, right? Let's watch.
We have in this country, and we have certainly in St. Paul, we have both a whole lot of economic opportunity, a whole lot of prosperity. And so the people who are plugged into that prosperity say, well, why don't you just plug into that prosperity without realizing that all of our traditional approaches as city building, all of our traditional approaches are really about drawing a circle and having some people be in it and some people being outside of it. And that's why I think in public safety is another one of our big things. That's why we end up seeing people who resent police or resent law enforcement, because they're people who see the police as enforcing the perimeter of that circle to keep them out, as opposed to really.
Oh, well said. You can watch more of this at the Breakfast Club. It's pretty great. You're watching Act TV. I'm Julianna Forlano. Thanks for watching us here today. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. We bring you progressive news headlines, movement headlines, that kind of stuff. And we also kind of dip into the regular headlines of just exactly what is going on in the world right now. You can follow Act TV across platforms. They're on Instagram. They're all over the place, Facebook, etc. I would highly suggest hitting the subscribe button right down below here if you're watching it on YouTube. And if you're watching on Facebook, thank you very much. Please leave a comment. Please say hello, because that helps the algorithm realize that people do care about progressive talk, even on a platform where non-progressive talk has been what they usually